Miranda's Victim is a biography drama film and is now premiering on limited theaters and also on VOD as well. The fine folks at Vertical Entertainment sent the screener over to me to let you guys know if it's worth a watch. So stick around and let's talk about it. In 1963, 18-year-old Patricia Weir is kidnapped and brutally raped. Committed to putting her attacker Ernesto Miranda in prison, Trisha's life is destroyed by America's legal system as she triggers a law that transforms the nation. The film stars Abigail Breslin, Donald Sutherland, Andy Garcia, Emily VanCamp, Mireille Enos, Taryn Manning, Brian Phillippe, and Luke Wilson, and was directed by Michelle Danner. Miranda's Victim, I knew nothing about this film. All I knew is that it was a crime drama film and that I saw the cast and I was like, okay, I'm definitely game to check this out. Because of the cast, it really attracted me to watch this film. We start out with this girl named Trish. It takes place in 1963 and she works at a movie theater, and one night she stays a little bit later and she rides a later bus with another employee. She gets dropped off and she gets sexually assaulted. Obviously being very upset by this, she tells her sister and her mother is very dismissive of it. She doesn't really want her to report what actually happened. Her sister seems like the only one that's really concerned. She goes to the doctors and this guy, he checks her out, and it just seems like he's just not very concerned as to what actually happened. And you can really tell during this time period that women didn't really have a lot of rights. It seemed like the men, they had a lot of upper hand, and it seemed like the women, they were just there for men and their beck and call. And it seems like, families trying to marry into a really nice family was really high regarded, especially with her mother. She really wanted her to marry into a really good family, and she feels like if she goes ahead and outs this guy that apparently sexually assaulted her, that this will really down her status. Trish decides to go to the detective and tell him her side of the story. And you can tell that the detective, he's a little bit reluctant to take the case, but she really feels like she has this guy to be able to be convicted. The biggest problem is women are not coming forward. There is a lot of this stuff happening in the 60s, and because of this whole social status thing and the whole thing of how women just don't really have as much rights during these time periods, this stuff isn't really happening. Like, they're not reporting these kinds of things. Her bravery really shows that she is just trying to change things up. So I do applaud her for doing something like this, because it's a very hard and stressful situation. And at the time, she is a virgin, so she doesn't really know like what sex actually feels like. So she's having trouble really answering questions about what actually happened. But you can just see that her struggle and just the way that she's trying to process all of this and just try to convict this guy and try to get the justice that she thinks that she really deserves, because she definitely didn't deserve something like this to happen to her. The story flowed very well, and I found that the pacing of the movie was just right. I felt like it had some tension in moments that needed tension. I felt like we got to really get inside this woman's head and really see what is her emotions and what she's going through. We also get to see this person that is supposedly sexually assaulting her, his motive, what his feelings are, and what's really going on between both said plaintiff and defendant, so to speak. So I did enjoy watching that on screen. I enjoyed learning about the different laws that really are going into effect into what we have now. Overall, the only negatives that I can say about this film are so nitpicky that I just don't think it really affects the film as a whole. There's a little bit of obvious green screen here and there, which it's not that much in the film. Some of the transitioning I wasn't a fan of. Like, for instance, there was a point where they just kind of fast forward and they show that Trish is getting married, and we didn't even know that she really had a love interest. They just go ahead and they just tell us that she is going to get married, and we're like, okay, I guess, I think overall, though, the acting in this film is absolutely really good. I think everybody plays a really good part. I felt like I was just embodied by this film and very interested throughout this film. I never felt bored. It was over 2 hours. It was 2 hours and 6 minutes to be exact. But I never felt like there was pacing issues. I never felt like, okay, we didn't really need this scene. I just felt like some of the transitioning could have been a little bit better transition within the film. Overall, I learned a lot about the characters, their feelings, what everything that was going on within the case we learn about, and we get to hear about things that we just probably didn't really know. Maybe some of us didn't know. Maybe, some people will learn some things out of this. I definitely learned some things that I didn't particularly know. And I just thought it was interesting learning from both perspectives. And I felt like the film, it just did a really good job, and it really made me want to learn more about this woman's life. And I felt like they did a really good job of actually summarizing everything up into a 2-hour film. And I thought it was an excellent film, and I can definitely recommend this film. As far as a score for this film, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's one of the top films that I've seen this year. Acting wise, everybody does such a good job, and I felt particularly engaged throughout this entire film. And if you can do something like that, then you are an excellent film, and this did a great job of keeping me engaged throughout the entire film. But let me know in the comments, have you heard of Miranda's Victim? If you have checked it out, let me know what you thought about it. It is available now to check out on VOD and also in limited theaters now. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on my next review.